Comfort women, also called military comfort women, Japanese jūgun ianfu, a euphemism for women who provided sexual services to Japanese Imperial Army troops during Japan's militaristic period that ended with World War II, and who generally lived under conditions of sexual slavery. Estimates of the number of women involved typically range up to 200,000, but the actual number may have been even higher. Comfort women were kept in brothels known as comfort stations from 1932 until the end of the war in 1945. These establishments were created to boost the morale of Japanese soldiers and purportedly to minimize random sexual assaults. Some of the ladies were duped into falling for what amounted to a major human trafficking scam run by the Japanese military with false promises of employment. Others were just kidnapped and forcibly transported to comfort stations, which were present in every Japanese-occupied territory, including China and Burma, Myanmar. Additionally, comfort stations were kept in Korea and Japan. The women often endured horrific living conditions, including ongoing rapes and beatings or murder if they protested. The Japanese government had an interest in keeping soldiers healthy and wanted sexual services under controlled conditions, and the women were regularly tested for sexually transmitted diseases and infections. According to several reports, notably a study sponsored by the United Nations that was published in 1996, many of the comfort women were executed at the end of World War II. The women who survived often suffered physical maladies, including sterility, psychological illnesses, and rejection from their families and communities. Many survivors in foreign countries were simply abandoned by the Japanese at the end of the war and lacked the income and means of communication to return to their homes. After the initial Japanese denial of guilt, more than 30 women's organizations in South Korea came together in 1990 to form the Korean Council for Women, drafted for military sexual slavery by Japan. The council demanded an admission of guilt, an apology, a memorial, financial recompense for victims, and the appropriate revision of Japanese textbooks to accurately depict the realities of sexual slavery. The Japanese government rejected calls for reparations and refuted evidence of forced adoption of comfort women, claiming that the 1965 treaty between Japan and South Korea had resolved all outstanding issues. The issue of comfort women gained international awareness in 1991 when a group of surviving women, breaking decades of silence, filed a class action lawsuit against the Japanese government. The women and their supporters sued for compensation on the grounds of human rights violations. At about the same time, Yoshimi Yoshiaki, a historian from Chuo University in Tokyo, discovered documents in the archives of Japan's self-defense force and published a report of his findings that linked the Japanese wartime military and government to the maintenance of the comfort women system. The Japanese government publicly acknowledged the existence of comfort stations during the war for the first time in 1991. The government also recognized its role in the recruitment of comfort women and its deceit of those ladies 2 years later in a statement released by the main cabinet minister. It also apologized for insulting the honor of those women. Although Tokyo rejected any legal responsibility for the sexual assaults, the Japanese government established the Asian Women's Fund in 1995 to find a solution. However, the fund was supported by private donations from individuals rather than government funding, and Korean activists rejected it. The fund stopped functioning in 2007. The topic of comfort women is still quite contentious in Japan. Even while the existence of the wartime program was widely known there, many Japanese, particularly right-wing nationalists, continued to deny it, especially about the question of whether the women had been made to labor in the comfort stations against their will. After the Japanese guy who had initially claimed responsibility for publishing stories about women being pressured afterward denied his involvement, a Japanese daily said that it had retracted reports from the 1980s and 1990s about women being coerced. There ensued some discussion among government officials about revising the 1993 apology statement, but that idea was quickly abandoned, in part because of outside pressure. In 2014, Abe's government also petitioned the United Nations to ask that its 1996 report be revised, but UN officials quickly denied the request. What do you think of our video? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and would like to hear more from us, please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications before you go. Thanks for watching.